And welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. Week 7 is fast approaching, and we're here to preview all the games that take place this weekend. I'm your host, Andy, and I'm this week joined by a returning guest, someone I actually met for the first time in person just on Saturday night in Leicester Square. With us today is Steve McGuiness. How are you, Steve?
I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm pretending football doesn't exist until Monday night, because this week's games did not go quite to plan. But yeah, it's good that we finally got to meet up. It's only taken us 3 years of podcasting to do that. So
yeah, it was nice food. You know, it was going in for a steak on Leicester Square. And yeah, I thought it was really nice just to finally meet in person. We started the hairdryer treatment, what was it, lockdown in 2020, and we're all from all different areas of the of the UK. I mean, Isle of Man, Scotland, Newcastle, Wales. So it's always been hard for us to meet up and actually in person. And obviously, when we first met, it was in lockdown anyway. But yeah, so thankfully we got to get the job done and get the meet up before the game on the Sunday. And how was your overall experience? On the actual day itself of the game.
So honestly, that's the second time I've been down. Now I went to Wembley last year, and weirdly, Wembley has it has easier access. It feels more kind of fan friendly on the way to the ground. But inside the ground, the experience at Tottenham is far better. It's far better designed. It's far better kind of stuff there for the fans that's for the fans rather than for the marketing kind of thing. Wembley feels a bit corporate, whereas Spurs feels more like a stadium for the fans. And I enjoyed it. The stadium itself, I could not believe how cold the game was. I think others have said this as well. But once you get a little bit of a breeze inside that stadium, it just whips around the place. But the game itself was great. Obviously, we brought 4 of us came across from the Isle of Man. 3 came across from the Isle of Man, and Luke obviously came down from Scotland. We brought a Titans fan with us who hadn't seen his team in 40 years of being a fan. He's been an Oilers fan before the Titans. So he had an absolute blast of a day, loved it. Obviously, would have liked a better result. But he got to see Derrick Henry in person for the first time. He got to see him rip off that massive 60-yard touchdown sideline run. He got to see Tajay Spears live up to the possibility, the hype that I'd been giving him when I was talking to him on the way in. And they could have, with a little bit more luck, they might have sealed that comeback. But yeah, I think Tannehill going down, Willis just not being that guy. They've got problems at quarterback, and I think all the Titans fans know it.
Yeah, and I think it's always a worry when you bring someone in like Willis in the draft, where the plan is, the narrative is, we'll get him in, he'll learn behind Tannehill for a year or two, then we'll get him in, and then within a year, or even within a year, they're already drafting someone else. And even if remember last season, he didn't even play when Tannehill went down. It was Josh Dobbs. So I think there's definitely worrying signs about Malik Willis. I mean, I was very lucky. I'm in a 32-person league through Decipher Sport where basically my 2 quarterbacks were Kenny Pickett, who was on a bye week, and Malik Willis. So I was thinking, this week's definitely lost. And then he got me about 4 or 5 points in the end. So that was not too bad. But yeah, no, I think
we won't mention the league in which you played me, in which I beat you. So
yeah, we're not mentioning that one. That one was. I thought. I swear, at one point, I was beating you quite convincingly. Maybe I'm thinking
your preview was to beat me over 25 points, and you actually lost by 25 points.
Jesus, yeah,
so that's how much brutal. I swung that one round.
But it's nice to hear about your friend, because a friend of the show, Shane Harris, was also seeing his team, the Ravens, for the first time in person. So yeah, and I think it was nice. It was nice to I think obviously Spurs has that technology in the stadium where it does keep sound in, and I think we saw last week with the Bills games how loud Bills Mafia was, and they were out in force, and it felt a bit more neutral this time. Didn't feel quite as one team heavy as maybe the last 2
weeks. No. That was a Titans home game, but that crowd was a Ravens crowd. I mean, we were in the far end, and we could hear it. It was just getting blasted around. Whenever Tannehill in the first half was trying to sit there and he was trying to bring up a play, and the noise was deafening. That was definitely Ravens something. Even when the things are going up on the screen, the Titans fans are going, get loud, and they were just really, really quiet. I don't know whether it's just over the years the Titans have done that to them. They've just beaten the hope out of them, or whether or not it's just the Ravens fans really were there en masse. But from what we saw, traveling in, staying in the hotel, walking around London, it was a very Ravens friendly day. The probably was, I'd say, if we had 61,000 in the stadium, I'd say nearly half of those would have been Ravens fans. I don't know whether it's just people hate the Titans or whether or not Titans fans are just really quiet.
Well, it's interesting because I did that video both for my TikTok and for YouTube on Euro trips where I found a fan of every team. Titans
Mhm.
was like third from last, fourth from last, trying to find a fan in that shirt. I mean, there's Panthers fans who came on later on, but they were just, a lot of them said no to being filmed. But I just couldn't find a single Titans jersey anywhere. There was a real struggle. I remember Chris Milner, friend of the show from National Vintage League, they did a video where they said that the two hardest teams to sell for were the Titans and the Colts. They seem to, and there don't seem to be, I think it's also down to, when Channel 4 was in its prime in the 80s, they only showed the best games and the best players. So they only showed you the 49ers, the Fridge and the Bears, Dan Marino, Dolphins. That's why I think these days you've got a big contingent of UK fans who are Niners fans, Dolphins fans, Bear fans. And I think there's a lot of fan bases of teams who weren't good, who maybe weren't shown on TV back in that day, and also maybe ones that maybe aren't well, Tennessee is, but a lot of places like Cincinnati is not exactly a big tourist destination. And I think the Titans definitely suffered from maybe not being the best team in the 80s and therefore not having much exposure on the UK coverage. And I think that's why there hasn't been a generation to grow up supporting the Titans. I think certain
That's because the
players,
Titans didn't exist in the 80s.
oh,
So
the
they were
Oilers, yeah,
Oilers
the
back
Oilers,
then.
yeah. Either way, we had Warren Moon, and that was it. Like Steve McNair
Yeah,
came through, Derek
that's
Henry.
I mean they have got a good history, but the thing with this was I did the same as you. We were playing kind of every game day. What we do is we'll find one of the cafes on the way to the stadium. We will sit and play football shirt bingo. And this year, you're right. The Colts was one of the hardest for us to find. The Browns was difficult to find this year. In fact, the Browns is difficult to find every year. There really don't seem to be a lot of Browns fans that travel.
Well, sadly, I know a
Washington
few fans
fans.
that have actually changed from the Browns, changed teams because the whole um, Bill Cosby quarterback situation. A lot of fans have actually changed teams. Even I know who's the guy from around the NFL that's Brown, who was a Browns fan. Is it Mark Sessler, his name? The one
Mhm.
he's no longer a Browns fan for that reason. I think a lot of fans I know have actually changed teams because of that reason alone.
I mean, technically, I would have thought there'd be more Browns fans given that we were watching the Browns.
Will we?
Know your history, man. What are the Ravens?
Oh yeah, Art Modell, right? Art Modell.
Art Modell, yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I was thinking
Art
like
Modell's moving, yeah.
was thinking Titans were in Houston. I was thinking, what the hell are you on about? But
Yeah, no, we went
yeah.
to see technically a Browns game for those of us who've been watching the game long enough.
Well, they're actually one of the. I think they're the only team. They're the only team left I've not seen play. I've seen every team play either in the UK or USA. I think the Browns are the one team left.
There you go.
I just
I'll
can't
be
think.
honest, get the same as you, having watched them every single week, they're probably the team you would least want to watch. Behind this season's Colts, who are absolutely awful, and this season's Panthers, who are just painful to watch.
Yeah, no, it's not been a good time for them. But we're heading on to our week 7 predictions. Just to recap last week, a very successful week for both me and the guest we had. We had Keg from the Magpie Chant on. He now leads the leaderboard with 13 correct scores from last week. So in terms of his, we all had the same scores, winners apart from 3. So he had the Vikings and Bears winning. I had the Seahawks and he had the Vikings and Bengals winning, whereas I had the Bengals and Seahawks winning. Other than that, we've all got the Lions beat the Buccaneers. We all got the Cowboys beat the Chargers. We all got the Ravens to win in London. But he
Let me
got
guess the two you got wrong. You both all went for the Niners to beat the Browns, and you all
yeah,
went for the Eagles to beat the Jets.
yeah, and I went for
Yeah.
the Bears and Seahawks, and Keg went for the Atlanta Falcons to beat the Commanders. But yes,
Yeah, I also went for the Falcons to beat the Commanders. I thought that was a shoe-in, but what do
I,
I know?
I found it really hard to predict. I thought they both got terrible quarterbacks. I was really just torn as to who was going to win that game. But I thought just because the Commanders, I don't know, I backed Sam Howell more than Desmond Ridder.
That's probably not a bad decision.
No, I mean, Ridder looks terrible. But it does mean that in the leaderboard right now in our predictions table, Keg does lead the way with 13 from week 6. Myself in second with 12 from week 6. With David Caproche in third with 10 from week 4. And Freddie Harper Davis, block bottom right now with his 8 from week 1. So starting off on Thursday Night Football is a game in New Orleans between the New Orleans Saints and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Steve, who wins?
This is a tough one for me because I really want to see the Jags, but obviously, football Jesus got banged up last week. Even though Travis Etienne had a monster of a game, as he just tends to do. But again, the Saints, they've got Kamara back. Kamara playing a slightly different role. He's not always playing out the backfield. He's kind of. I think they've recognised that they need to use him slightly differently this year in order to get more out of him because obviously they'll have Williams coming back off the IR probably in week 8, week 9. So they don't want to make him that goal line back. They want to make him a bit more outfield. Derek Carr versus a banged up football Jesus. I'm going to go for a Saints home win.
Hey, okay. Oh, I've gone for the Jags. I'm optimistic that Lawrence will play, but I think even if not, I think you got the likes of Travis Etienne, and I think he has proved in the last 2 weeks that he can be that real elite running back. And I think the way he's playing right now, I think even if Lawrence, whether he plays and whether he just hands the ball off 80% of the time, or whether it is CJ Beathard behind him, I can just see it's the Jags just making it win. I think it'd be a good game, and I got a friend of mine who's actually a Saints fan. She's actually going to watch her team for the first time ever play live. So in America, that is in the Superdome. So that'd be a good experience for her. And I sadly for her sake think she'll see her team lose. But again, the Lawrence injury is massive, and I think that if he doesn't play, I think it gives him more of a chance. I think if he's fully fit, I give the Jags a win easily, but I think otherwise it could make it quite an exciting game. And speaking of which, a game I'm going to be going to, one of two in the same day, as the Ravens host the Lions. Now, for me, I'm giving the Lions a win. I'm giving the Lions a win because I think they're just in great form right now. They're putting up loads of points in each game. I think that Jared Goff is playing at level, probably his best level since the year they made Super Bowl the Rams. And I think that the Ravens, whilst they got the win against the Titans, it wasn't perfect. And I think that, look at the game when the Murphy Bunting interception, Derrick Henry scored, and that could have easily been, if Tannehill hadn't thrown the ball away or thrown the interception, I think we could have seen the Titans put more of a comeback on. I just think against a better team like the Lions, the Ravens may come unstuck, and the Lions just rolling right now, and I'm going to give them the win.
I want to agree with you there, but this game for me is going to come down to defense. The Lions' pass rush is just brilliant, and I love Aiden Hutchinson. But that Ravens D and the Lions, having a banged up Jamar Gibbs coming back to lead the line and no David Montgomery, I don't see without a solid run game. I don't see the Lions having a lot of options. And I like that Ravens secondary. I've always liked that Ravens secondary. It's a home game for them. And just the Ravens are just a solid team. I think the Lions are due a loss at 5-1, getting a little bit ahead of themselves. I've seen a few lines suggesting that they'll be in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs this year. No, you won't, mate. No, this is a Ravens win for me. I want to be positive. I do love the underdog story with the Lions, but no, this is Ravens win.
Sort of put it out here. Of course, the Ravens' biggest threat is in the run game. The Lions do have the best run defense so far this year. If that does change your mind at all about who wins this game?
No, because having watched the Ravens in person, I'm reminded of the fact that you might well have the best run defense in the league, but Lamar is just terrifying when he takes off. The Titans have a solid run defense usually, but once he gets out there, the way he jukes, I don't think any current running back in the league jukes the way he does. It's very, very hard to take down. Very powerful runner. Reminds me a lot, actually, Barry Sanders back in the day. Obviously, Lions fans won't want that reminding. But I think we saw some glimpses of OBJ. Zay Flowers is really, really picking up. The less said about Rashad Bateman, the better. And obviously, they have Mark Andrews there. It's a solid and experienced and well put together Ravens offense. I don't think this is going to be the high scoring, free scoring game we usually get with the Lions, but I do think the Ravens will grind this one out.
Okay, the next two we're going to skim over because, frankly, the quarterback matchups aren't exciting. So you got the battle of Brian Hoyer against Tyson Bagnet, and you got the battle of PJ Walker against Gardner Minshew. So we're going to skim over those in Bears against Raiders and Colts against Browns. I'm going to give the wins to the Raiders and the Browns. I just think the Browns defense will just tear apart Gardner Minshew, and I just think that Hoyer, I think, is a more settled quarterback in a McDaniel's system than Bagnet is. at the Bears. So I'm going to give wins to the Raiders and the Browns. How about you, Steve?
I'm going to give the Browns definitely. Bears Raiders, two trash offenses against two very average defenses. Coin toss. You know what? This one's for you, Luke. Bears to win.
Okay. Next up, another one that may be a one-sided affair, but maybe not after that game on Sunday Night Football, as the Bills travel to New England to take on the 1-5 Patriots, which is something I never thought I'd be saying. Bills for me to win. I think even though they struggled, I think they'll look to have a get-right game against the Patriots, and I think the Patriots just are terrible. And I think with them playing, as the following Sunday, they could easily be 1-7, which I don't think has happened in years with the Patriots. So not a good time for them. Steve, who's winning this one for you?
Even without Josh Allen, this is still a Bills win. The improvement that you saw in the Patriots the weekend, they got a little bit into the run game, but Ramondre Stevenson then got rolled over on. I know he's fit, but their whole situation at quarterback, where they're like, are they going to start? Malik Cunningham? Or are they going to start Mac Jones? Are they going to swap them in and out of the game? That's just a horrible situation to be in. That's not an offense that runs well. They just offensively they're just trash, and the Patriots are traditionally built on a great defense, which they don't have this year. So even if Josh Allen isn't fit, I'm pretty sure his backup can come in and just roll over that defense. Stephon Diggs will have a field day. The backfield's looking good. They have a great 1-2 punch in the tight ends in Kincaid and Knox, and I think that should be more than enough to roll over the Patriots.
Exactly. They're looking pretty bad right now, which could be potentially the last season of Bill Belichick. Next game, we head to New York as the Commanders travel to take on the Giants. Now, this one I found hard to predict because I think the Commanders on one side they've won 3 games this year. They're no slouches, but the Giants, if I'd not seen that game against Bills, I would put this as a Commanders win. But I was impressed with what I saw from their defense, particularly Bobby Okereke in that game for the Giants. So I'm going to give them the win. I think the Commanders are just very sort of unpredictable, whereas I think the Giants showed to me they got something through Tyrod Taylor in that offense. And I just think that if you can lose by just about 5 points to the Bills, and you should have won the game if they'd had better time management, they'd either won that game against the Bills. So I'm going to give them the win. I think they're going to be a due a win anyway. They're 1-4, 1-5 right now. They are due a win. So yeah, I'm going to give the Giants the win on this one.
Yeah, divisional games, so most common sense goes out the window. Giants have got Barkley back. He'll have been eased in this week against the Bills, and he should be back to full strength next week. But Tyrod Taylor clearly showing, as we all expected, that he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Yeah, but it says a lot about the Giants defense that they had to bring in like a 35-year-old that they previously released from the practice squad just to give them a little bit of a pass rush. They're trash. They're Patriots level trash. The confidence is gone. The fans will be on their backs after the first quarter if they're not winning by at least 10 points. The Commanders, I like Sam Howell. I don't think he's their long-term solution, but I think he'll be fun to watch for this season. He's got some great weapons in Samuel McLaurin. Brian Robinson's having a great season. And they still have a reasonable pass rush. I mean, we only beat them by 3 points. They put 34 points on us, and we have a pretty decent defense. The Giants do not have that level of defense. I can see the Commanders winning this by at least 10 points.
Interesting. Next up is Falcons taking on the Buccaneers and the Cardinals traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. For me, I've got wins for the Buccaneers and the Seahawks. I just don't think Ridder is that, and I just think that the defense isn't playing well enough to make up for that fact he's not playing well on offense. So I'm going to get the Bucs to win. I think Baker Mayfield has looked more solid. You got Mike Evans, you got Godwin. The defense has had some good performances at times. And then the Seahawks, I just think that the Cardinals, whilst they're nowhere near as bad as we thought they were going to be, they're still not a great team. And I think the Seahawks will want to get a win after last week's loss to Bengals. So I'm going to give the Seahawks a win. How about you, Steve?
Okay. So you're going to give the Buccaneers a win. Did you watch that game against Detroit?
But that is against the Lions. They're 5-1.
Yeah, but they were trash. I mean, they were like they were probably the worst I've seen the Buccaneers in the last 5 seasons. Baker couldn't throw anything. He's got banged up receivers. He's got no run game. He's got a little bit of pass rush, and really that's about it for the Bucks. The Falcons, Ridder is not a good QB. I think we're agreed on this, but I think Arthur Smith knows to lean on his run game. Algiers still a great player. Bijan Robinson's obviously the star, the playmaker. Drake London can pick up the odd down here and there when he decides he wants to play. Kyle Pitts is still, the jury's out. He came in as that guy, and now he seems to be just the guy. But honestly, I think there's just too many weapons on that Falcons offense for the Bucks to handle. And I think that Falcons defense will get to Baker a lot more than Baker thinks they will.
Interesting. I mean, they were wearing probably the best jersey of the weekend, the Buccaneers, and those retro
creamsicle is beautiful.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. But yeah, how are you feeling about Seattle Cardinals?
That's, to me, I mean, you mentioned earlier about Josh Dobbs, and honestly, Josh Dobbs has not done a bad job with the Cardinals. He's got a rookie wide receiver there who he's made look like $1 million. But what else do the Cardinals have? Well, they have Zach Ertz, and that's it. Whereas the Seahawks have an in-form and running over everything Kenneth Walker. Fantasy Pros rating him as the third best running back in the league. I'd probably put him top two. And now that McCaffrey's down, he is top two. You still have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett out there wide. This is a Seahawks offense that looks like it can squash anything but the best defenses on the day. Even divisionally against the Niners, they've been competitive. I like the Seahawks team. I actually think the Seahawks team might make the wild card. And on that basis, I'm going to have them taking them over the Cardinals.
Hey, so the next two games, the Rams hosting the Steelers and the Broncos hosting the Packers.
Yeah, Rams, Steelers. Steelers coming off a bye week, so they'll be fresh. Rams coming off, big game this week. Cooper Kupp coming back and showing again that he is the guy. And obviously they already had Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell there. So offensively, they're firing all cylinders. The loss of Kyron Williams this week will be big for them. The run game, they traded Cam Akers away to the Vikings. So who's going to start at the back for them? It's going to be third choice, fourth choice running backs. Does that, Steelers secondary then kind of sit back a little deeper, not expecting a run? I don't know. But the Steelers offense, aside from George Pickens, Najee Harris is terrible. There's nothing, there's no spark in that offense. I think Frymouth was injured last week. I'm not actually sure if he's back fit yet. There's nothing in that Steelers offense that the Rams should be worried about. But Kenny Pickett is probably going to be squashed regularly at the hands of Aaron Donald in this game. Rams to win.
Joe, it's crazy that I think they've looked really bad this day. They're still 3-2. Crazy. I mean, obviously, a lot of it goes down to TJ Watt on that defense, but it's amazing that with all the stuff going on, they're 3-2, and they only one win behind the Ravens, top of the AFC North. So, albeit they are also, one loss away from being bottom of the AFC North, but it's a tight division, and I think there's definitely a chance for all four teams to win that. And I think the Steelers should be encouraging that, and really commended for Mike Tomlin the fact that they are 3-2, which is how bad this offense is.
Yeah, I mean, Steelers fans are really, really confident the fact that they have the same winning record as the Bengals. But let's be realistic here. Only one of those two is a good team. It's having its problems, it's having its injury issues, but only one of them is a good team, and it's not the Steelers. I think the Steelers we're going to start seeing them fade away as they play better teams this season.
Yeah, I do think also if Watson was healthy and if Nick Chubb hadn't had the injury he had, I do think the Browns might be, a 4-1 team. I think they might have a couple more wins. I think it's a shame for them that Nick Chubb has got injured when he did, because I think if Nick Chubb was healthy, I think they could actually win in this division by maybe a game or two. But sadly for them, not the case.
The defenses in that division are absolutely superb. The Browns' defense is terrifying. And what's letting them down is the fact that because the offense is poor, the defense has got to be on the field more than it needs to be. And they just tire by the end of the game.
I sadly think so. So I go for Rams as well. I just think I like their receiving room, and the Nakua is probably the favourite right now, for along with Stroud for Rookie of the Year. So yeah, big up to him. Packers Broncos. I'm giving the Packers to win. I don't really have that much faith in the Packers right now. I think Love is not playing well, but the Broncos also playing pretty badly as well. So it's sort of battle of two-stroking quarterbacks. But I just think there's a little bit of turmoil going on in Broncos. Everything, nothing quite seems to be going right off the field as well as on the field for the Broncos. And that defense is playing really bad. And I can see the Packers exploiting that, as we've done this year, other teams have against Broncos. I just think that the Packers, I just back them more than the Broncos right now, but I don't really rate either team right now, to be honest with you. So I'll give the Packers the win.
I'll give the Broncos the win on this. In terms of the two quarterbacks, Wilson, he's playing in a bad team, but actually his stats show him to be actually right up there within the top 10 quarterbacks this season. Jerry Jeudy's playing terribly, but I think Greg Dulcich is back from injury this week. The Broncos are starting to get the run game together. Cortland Sutton's starting to look like he's starting to look like their guy. So with that, and with a Packers defense that's banged up and has holes in it, and this will very much depend on whether or not Aaron Jones gets into the game. If Aaron Jones is fit, and again he's still questionable for this week, the Packers they should have enough to just squeeze this. But I just have a feeling this is where we're looking at the upset of the week, and I think the Broncos are going to take this probably by 3 points.
Interesting. So we've got quite a few. We've got 6 so far, different predictions team-wise than each other. Chargers against Chiefs. Pretty simple, isn't it? Chiefs are going to win this.
Nope, that's the Chargers win. First off, divisional. Second, Chiefs are due a loss. Third, Chargers have been charging things up. They need to set something right. Eckler was back this week, but not back to his best. I think with a full week of practice, he'll be solid. The wide receiving core, really, really good. I love Keenan Allen, having a great season. This is the one where everyone will go, yeah, Chiefs should win that, but you never ever assume anything with a divisional match. I'm going to give the Chargers that one.
Okay. Before we go on to our main discussion point today, the game between our two teams, Niners, Monday Night Football, traveling to the Vikings. I think the Niners win this, even if McCaffrey's out, even if Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are out. I just think that against the Vikings team that, apart from last week, has struggled on defense a lot this year, and they're missing Justin Jefferson on offense. I'm going to give them the Niners a win, and of course they're going to be eager to win after last week as well. So yeah, I'm going to give the Niners the edge on this one.
Yeah, Niners winning that one. Vikings without Jefferson really are a horrible offense. TJ Hawkins will have to try and carry them because KG Osborne can't. They haven't got much of a run game. Yeah, Niners for me.
Okay, it's a big one. The reason why you've come to this episode, Steve, Eagles take on the Dolphins, a game I'll be at. My first time at Lincoln Financial Field. Very excited for this one. Provided my train is not cancelled, I should be making it with plenty of time to spare so I can take in some of the pre-match atmosphere. What a game this is. 2 5-1 teams. You got one of the most exciting offenses right now in the league in the Dolphins against the team that won the NFC last year. So it's going to be a very, very exciting game. How are you seeing it, Steve?
Eagles win. Would you like me to expand upon that? Because I'm always seeing an Eagles game as Eagles win. What do I think will be the problem? I think, and I don't want to be overly disrespectful for the Dolphins here, I think this is where we will see Tua's first concussion of the season. Because I do not think that O-line can stop that Eagles pass rush. And they are going to get to him. And they're going to get to him more often than probably any team has this season. I think this is Miami's big test. I obviously worry about our secondary because Tyreek Hill versus anyone except Darius Slay, I think we've got an issue. Jalen Waddle seems to be back fit. But no Shane, so A-Chain. So we're just looking at, can Raheem Mostert continue, the way he's been the last couple of games? I don't think Mostert does his 2-3 touchdowns this game. I think if he gets one, I'll be surprised. The Eagles are in a division which has traditionally a strong run game, so they're designed to shut down the run. So you're going to be throwing it deep. I think we're going to see a few picks. I think we saw, even though we lost the Jets, you did see that Eagles secondary very good at kind of getting the ball out from receivers, punching the ball out, picking the ball. And I think Tua's going to overextend himself this week, and we're going to see more than his fair share of interceptions. So yeah, Eagles win. It's at the Link. It'll be a raucous crowd. Yeah, you'll enjoy the game. Just don't wear your colours, is all I'll say.
Yeah.
We don't tend to treat opposing fans particularly well.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. I don't know what I'm going to do if we score a touchdown. Do I celebrate? I think I have to work out the crowd and who I'm with. And if it's a bunch of Dolphins fans near me, then I can probably afford to celebrate. But it's like, I've done a few games in the past. I've been to Hawthorns away from home at Liverpool, and I've done Brighton away from home. And it's I think of not celebrating. And I think I probably will have to do the same thing again. But I've got also the Eagles winning, which pains to say. I just think that, we have looked good this year, but let's look at the teams we played. We played the Giants, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Patriots. And apart from the Chargers, all the teams have won one or less games each. So,
and the first good team you come up against in the Bills absolutely squashed you. So
8-point game. And yeah, I think that's a big issue. I mean, the Bills, they are our Achilles heel. So I think that as a one game off, but I think the Eagles. I think it's a big 3-game stretch. You've got the Patriots next, and we've got the Chiefs after that. Albeit, thankfully, it's not an Arrowhead; it's in Germany. But for us, I think this is the big test. Because if we lose this game, the narrative is going to be back on us that they can't win the big game. They can only beat the bad teams and things like that. So I think it's a really important game. I can see us making it a game. I think if you got a Hill and Waddle against our secondary, I think that will give them problems. But I just think, as you said, I think that defense will be just too good. I think our O-line has improved, but it's nowhere near of O-line that you want to win a championship. So that's going to be, I think, where the game's won, is that between the trenches sort of things. I think the Eagles are just too good. I think
I've not seen the update on the injury yet for Lane Johnson, but that might be something in your favour if he's not playing.
Yeah, I mean, the loss of coordinators mean I don't think you look quite as good on offense as you were last year, but I still back you to get a job done. But I don't think it'll be. I can see it being a 7 to 10 point game, but also my record at live Dolphins games is 0-4. So
you think we were as good as last year. Did you not see us just sign Julio Jones?
I saw that there. I'm like, oh God, what are they doing? But
well, to be fair, Quez Watkins has been injured most of the season, and only this is the case. He's got one touchdown, but again, Hurts doesn't seem to have a connection with him, so he's just not throwing to him. So maybe they've just gone, right, let's bring in that kind of big veteran name, give Hurts a little bit more confidence to throw to someone other than AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and see where we go from there.
I mean, sadly for you guys, he is completely washed. I don't know why he's still playing, because I remember seeing him last year. I believe it was last year I saw him play for the Bucks, where he was just terrible. He hardly got involved. When he got involved, he didn't do anything. He just sadly he's got old now and he's past his best. But yeah, certainly, with my record going to Dolphins games live, I've seen us lose in London, Cincinnati, LA, and in Miami. So I'm not expecting a win, and that run to continue. I think we will. I'll probably go 0-5 after this one, which is probably not the best thing to be thinking of when you go into the game. But yeah, I'm just hoping that there's no trains delayed, because that is going to be a great achievement for myself to stay. I've done 2 games in the same day. Do keep an eye out on the Eurotrips channel, and of course my TikTok, Andy Talks NFL, to bring you content of both those games throughout the day, and hope to bring you a banging video. But that is where we'll end.
Best of luck.
Say that again.
I said best of luck. I say train timetables. You're pushing it. It's going to be tight, but honestly, I hope you can do it, mate. That's an amazing achievement if you can.
Yeah, it'll be great, and I'm looking forward to finishing, M&T Bank as well. And yeah, hopefully it all goes to plan. But before we do go, just to recap our winners. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different prediction winners. So that is, I've got the Jags, Steve has the Saints. I've got the Lions beating the Ravens, Steve has the Ravens. I have the Raiders beating the Bears, Steve has the Bears. I've gone for the Giants to beat the Commanders. Steve has gone otherwise and picked the Commanders. I've gone for the Bucks. He's gone for the Falcons. I've gone for the Packers beat the Broncos, where Steve went for the Broncos, and I went for the Chiefs to win against the Chargers, and Steve went for the Chargers. Whereas otherwise, we both went for wins for the Browns, Bills, Seahawks, Rams, Eagles, and Niners. So
yeah, I don't think we're going to see either of us at the top of the scoreboard this week, because obviously we only have 13 games to go through. But honestly, if I can finish ahead of Freddie, I'll be happy with that.
I'm sure you will. He's always a personal favourite. If you can beat him, it's always a good thing.
Yep.
Fantastic. But that is where we will end our episode for today, our Week 7 preview. So thank you, Steve, once again for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, Andy.
No problem at all. And we look forward to bringing you, hopefully, our Week 7 review, hopefully coming to you from the States. But otherwise, this has been the Across the Pod podcast. I've been your host, Andy Davies. This has been Steve McGuiness, and we will see you guys next time.